Pierre Poilievre's by-election was last night, and he won it pretty handily. So what does this mean? It means status quo. There were a lot of people, including myself, talking about how if Pierre won with anything less than like 75 or 70% of the vote, it would mean that he would not be able to stay on as leader. He won about 80% of the vote in the last election. Just a few months ago, the Conservatives won about 83% of the vote. So not really that much of a drop-off. And I'm sure this comes as a sigh of relief for Pierre and the Conservatives, as that means that their core base in Alberta is unfazed by everything. And believe me, as much as I would like to say bye to Pierre, he's here to stay. At this point, the only way in which he would leave is if the Conservatives' polling numbers continue to drop and the Carney government is able to hold on for 3 or 4 years. And as we get closer and closer to that election, and as the Conservatives' numbers go down and down, they decide to get rid of Pierre and hire a new leader. Elect a new leader, or whatever. I know some of y'all get picky with words. So yeah, when Parliament resumes in the fall, it'll be status quo, minus the non-existent NDP. So status quo for the election that we just had, not status quo for what we're used to. So let's wait and see what kind of legislation the current government tries to implement, and let's see how that does with the Canadian public. Because as it stands, Carney is pretty popular. But legislating the flight attendants back to work seemed to have really taken the wind out of his sails. No government and no leader is infallible. And one of the most important things that we do as citizens outside of election cycles is that we push the governments in power and the parties that we have to do the things that we want them to do. Public pressure works. So make sure that if something happens that you don't like, you talk about it.